Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, man. I hope you're having a good day. As you're listening to this, I'm somewhere in New York City running the New York City Marathon. Let's hope it goes well. Thank you for your support in advance. Tom Segura had Matt Rife on recently, and Tom asked Matt about his good looks, and Rife said, "For me, I want to look the best I possibly can. Who doesn't want to look like the best version of themselves, right? Yeah, that's why you're on 26.2 miles in your mid-50s. What are you doing?" I lost a lot of weight. It was good. Rife said, "As someone who grew up ugly as a kid and as a skinny kid, and I didn't lose my virginity until I had 2 months left of high school." Whoa, TMI, Matt Rife. "So I was such a little late bloomer that I'm like, can I just enjoy this portion of my life? I don't know what I'm going to look like when I get older. I might look like Dom Herrera in 5 years. Ooh, hope Dom Herrera didn't hear that one." The Columbus Underground caught up with Sam Morill. They asked him about some of his fellow comedians' routines that he finds memorable. Pretty cool question. That's a different one. Sam said, "Jim Jeffries had a bit on guns that I thought was pretty hilarious. I know the bit. It is really strong. I thought he hit every angle on it. It was incredible. Louis C.K. was on a tear for a while. It was like every bit, you know?" Yes. For a while there, C.K. was being called the new George Carlin. People don't do that anymore. Greg Giraldo had a lot of jokes that I like to think about. I think about his Civil War letter jokes or about his Siegfried and Roy jokes. Giraldo had so many bits where we take these touchy issues and find the silliest angle. And I love jokes like that where you just go, how the hell did no one else think of this? You think it's because it's easy, but it's only because he made it look easy. It's not actually easy, promise. Greg is such a good comedian because he would always just add an extra thing. You think the joke is over because it would have been good enough, and then they'd add another line. You're like, oh, damn, that's a joke. Sam says he's more into the after-show hang than the pre-show hang. Sam says, "I kind of want to just chill before the show. We have a routine where we're pretty healthy during the day. We'll find a rec center or something, and I'll play ball. We'll do some sort of exercise, get a good meal. If I'm in the city, I like just good friends doing something not comedy-related. Basketball, watching a game, watching a movie or something. I like watching old movies." He doesn't like if you have needy energy, Sam says. "It's people I don't know well who are like pushy with stuff. I mean, it's why I don't know them. It's like, I don't want to know you." And there are a lot of comics like that. Look, we picked a field with a lot of mentally ill people with massive egos, which is a pretty dangerous combination. A lot of creative people have terrible ADD. Your mind wanders. That's why you're creative. So those people are not good listeners, and I include myself in that. Sam says, "One of the most challenging parts of touring, I hate hotel beds. Even if you're in a nice hotel, the bed is crap for some reason. It's weird. It'll be like a cool aesthetic or something, but then this pillow's trash, this mattress sucks, the sheets feel like sandpaper. So yeah, there's a lack of sleep. I had an 8 a.m. cross-country flight the last 2 Thursdays to Vancouver and Phoenix, just waking up at 5:30 a.m. I'm not really a napper, so that sucks. And then to do shows that night sucks. Doesn't matter what time I get to bed. I'm a night owl. I think the combination of late nights and early mornings would be the hardest part of the road. But you know, you get used to it. You figure it out. I think a lot, am I sick? And then you're like, no, I'm just run down. Is it COVID or just my life is a game I play a lot. Kansan.com spoke to Nikki Glaser about playing her old college. They were curious, what was your time like at KU? Nikki Glaser said, "I think my best memories are hanging out at my friend's house and having our whole lives ahead of us. College is really the last time you were a kid, even though you feel you're grown up. That's my best memory, where my biggest issue in life was a paper that was due. I was checked out of college life because I wanted to go to LA and have a career. I was so positive of what I wanted to do, and I felt like college was keeping me from pursuing my dreams. I wish I would have leaned into college life a little bit more and enjoyed having that time in those 4 years to take it easy. I was just so eager to get on with my life. In my sophomore year, I kind of had a wake-up call of, okay, stand-up comedy's really hard. You can't just phone this in and do it on the weekends. You need to do it every night. I generally drove to Kansas City to do stand-up shows a lot of nights of the week. The other nights that I wasn't doing stand-up, I was trying to work to save money to move to LA as soon as I graduated. I had really supportive teachers that always let me skip class if I had a show or a radio appearance that allowed me to take a test at another time. I had teachers that knew my potential in stand-up, and they were teaching courses that had nothing to do with it, and they were still supporting me. My senior year, I got on Last Comic Standing. I had to go to LA and film an episode. I missed my finals. My teachers were all cool about it because they knew that I was pursuing my dream. I'll always be grateful to those teachers who allowed me to graduate despite not really attending that many classes. Nimesh Patel told WTOP, "I grew up with 16 first cousins, so that was the comedy, all of us yelling at each other. As we grew up, Chris Rock was one of the first comedians I saw as a special, but we were also run-of-the-mill Americans watching Saved by the Bell, Family Matters, and the Wayans Brothers, and everything that ABC and WB had on at the time. In terms of movies, Adam Sandler was king at the time. As we get older, movies and TV shows gave way to music, DMX, and all that. In 2011, he started the NYC Broken Comedy Show with his friends Mike Denny and Michael Che. I've heard of Michael Che, famous. That helped him get discovered by Chris Rock during a Brooklyn gig in 2015. Patel told WTOP it had become the hottest independent stand-up show in New York. Once I got wind that Chris Rock was coming, I was like, I'm going up. Chris saw me. I had one of those blackout sets where I did great, but I didn't remember it at all. Afterward, Chris told me he thought I was funny, and I was just in shock. A few months later, I got an email saying he wanted me to be on the writing team for the Oscars he was hosting in 2016. That was a whirlwind experience. My finance job was in flux, and I was interviewing at a bunch of other places, but I wasn't getting anywhere. There was like no gap between my finance job ending and my writing job starting. January, my finance job ended. February, I was in LA writing for Chris Rock for the Oscars. It was crazy. That was the year of hashtag Oscars So White, one of the top comedy experiences I've ever had. It is the final day of the 312 Comedy Festival in Chicago, best known for having a terrible website where the acts are sorted by alphabetical order and not by date. So I'm scrolling through looking for the words November and 5, and I found one. At Park West, you can go see That's Messed Up with Liza Traeger and Kara Klink. Steven Bergazzi is at Zanies in Chicago. Is this who I think it is? I'm clicking on it, and it's taking me in an endless loop. I can't even buy tickets. So I'm looking here. There is a man who appears to be older than me wearing a magician's hat, and I know that Nate Bergazzi's father was a magician. I'm guessing this is him? Steven Bergazzi has a tour. It's called The Magic of Steven. And yes, his website says, even with all his awards and accolades, he is mostly known as Nate's dad. All right, that's who that is. You know, 312comedyfestival.com. You could just put this information out there, you know? He's at Zanies today. I can't tell you what time because the website's not working. And that's a wrap on the 312 Comedy Festival. I am deleting the bookmark that I've had on my browser for a few weeks. Meanwhile, at the much more organized New York Comedy Festival, at 3 o'clock, Hot Waffle, a comedy brunch show. That's at the Stand at 3. I won't be done by 3. I'm in the very last shoot. I might be running a marathon, but I never said I was running a fast marathon. So when they asked me what time, I wrote 5 hours, 59 minutes, and they put me in the last shoot. That's where I want to be. I'm 10 years older than when I did it last time, so I'm just going out today, and I'm taking it easy, and I'm taking in the experience. I loved it 10 years ago. I'm sure I'll love it today. And I don't know if I'll do it again in 10 years, so I just want to soak this one in today. So I won't be done by 3 o'clock, but, you know, you could go and see a comedy brunch show. Joy Behar's at the Manhattan Movement at 3. 5 o'clock at the Hard Rock, Jeff Ross. Not going to make that one either. I'll almost be done, Jeff, but I won't be able to hit your show today. Mark Gerber is recording his album at the New York Comedy Club at 5. The Frat Boys with a Z are at the Brooklyn Comedy Collective at 7. I like this title. Ben Palmer trolls NYC. He's at the Littlefield at 8. Comedy Hangman at the Brooklyn Art House at 9. And a bunch of smaller shows throughout the day. nycomedyfestival.com/schedule if you want to see how a schedule should be done. Rachel Cayley with a K is one of the Vulture 25 comedians you should know. So while we're getting to Rachel today, apparently when I was up to the K's, must have had a busy podcast that day and I bumped that one. Rachel said a couple years ago, ideas would just come to me and I'd run with them. I think it was more manic a couple years ago and also doing improv many nights a week. So joke writing came to me more easily when I had alt comedy and unmanaged panic disorder adrenaline coursing through my body. I've recently found it's harder for me to surprise myself and I have to force myself to sit down to write. I think I've also learned that my style changes and my voice constantly needs honing. There were 2 years where I got really into writing absurd long stories that went off the rails and always ended with me basically getting killed or having sex. And it really worked for me, and I think it was unique. But more recently, especially since working my new hour, I've been veering away from that. I was fighting against that instinct to try and do new stuff and maybe do more formally normal stand-up. But I think I have to accept that's where I'm at right now, and I can still be funny and surprising in the space. Worst show ever. I was 10 years old. I was doing stand-up at Gotham. They had a program called Kids End Comedy. One show I did a set. It was a boy's 12th birthday. He and his friends were sitting in the front row. They hated me and heckled me the entire time, saying it wasn't funny and I was ugly. So I told them to please stop after every punchline, and I cried. I didn't stop doing stand-up after that. Now I beg people to heckle me because it's the most fun thing that could possibly happen to me. I challenge every man over 45 to come for me. I will destroy you, and I will buy you and your girlfriend a drink after, and then we'll go to a WNBA game together, even if you hate women. And that is your comedy news for today. Enjoy the marathon if you're running one. If you're not, see you tomorrow.